Alpha males scream to be heard, and beta males follow them. The sigma male, on the other hand, is not affected. He works to the beat of his heart, making his own way through the chaos without being limited by what other people think he should do. Don't think his quiet attitude indicates weakness, though. The silent builders of power, the masterminds of strategy, and the symbol of defiance are sigma men. They like to be alone, but their hearts are full of fire and their minds are full of endless desire. In this tough world, the sigma stands out because it is unafraid and wild, unwilling to follow the crowd. Here are 12 unspoken rules about sigma men that you can't break. Number 1. Don't tell many people anything, but tell a few everything. Keep your cards close to you. Some people tell anyone who will listen what's on their mind, but sigmas are more selective. It's like the poker game where showing your hand too soon can cost you the game. They'd rather keep their plans and secrets to themselves and only tell a select few people who have earned their trust. They are proud of the fact that privacy is their shield. These men have experienced the fire of betrayal, which makes them cautious about who they let into their home. There are some people who don't deserve your trust. They've come to the realization that a small group of trusted friends is preferable to a large crowd of superficial friends. Sigma takes the word friend very seriously and doesn't use it in a casual way. If someone turns poisonous, they'll cut ties with them right away. They'd move mountains for the people they care about and stand by them through thick and thin. Very rarely they make this move and never look back. Number 2. Be quiet and let your success make all the noise. Sigma men move slowly and quietly, like ninjas, especially at night. They carry a big stick with them. They don't have to show off their success or boast about their accomplishments to the world. That's not their style. Just their actions spoke for themselves. A sigma is like a chess grandmaster. They move their pieces slowly and carefully, making seemingly unimportant moves that, when looked at separately, don't reveal their master plan. You think you have the upper hand, but all of a sudden, he strikes checkmate. Think about what it means to move in silence. Let your success make all the noise. Picture a cat on the hunt. When it sneaks up on its prey, it doesn't roar. When you want to kill someone, you should be quiet. Not your words, but the roar that echoes should be your success. The fact that sigma men work hard behind the scenes makes their victories even more satisfying. There's no need for them to brag about their moves or try to get attention. While others attempt to prove their worth, sigmas are working to establish it. They don't need anyone to tell them they're great. They already know what they can do. The third rule is to pick your battles carefully and win the war quietly. The men of Sigma don't get involved in every conflict that comes their way or rush into fights. Knowing that not every fight is worth their time or energy, they choose their battles wisely. Not fighting with idiots or getting caught up in small things wastes their time. They just look at the bigger picture and think about how to move. Empty barrels make the most noise. They let others scream and shout while remaining quiet and observing their enemies' weaknesses. They also hit with great accuracy and speed when the time is right, leaving their opponents speechless. Their victories are frequently understated, marked by a knowing nod and a sense of quiet satisfaction rather than a show of force. Their accomplishments speak for themselves, so they don't need to shout from the hills. There's a saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. However, this doesn't mean that Sigma men are naturally hostile or seek out conflict. They would much rather not do it at all. The good thing about them is that they know how to stand their ground and win without losing their cool. They're like water. Once you try to control them, they'll flow around you and get away. Fourth, see solitude as a safe place to be, not a prison. A Sigma man's choice to be alone is not an imprisonment they choose, as is often thought. It's their holy place where they can rest, think, and get in touch with themselves again. They're not hermit types. They're just like a lone wolf that stands out from the pack, but doesn't get scared or nervous. It's not lost. You can have it. It roams the wild not because it's hopeless, but because it wants to. It's not about being alone. It's about being free. They don't fear being alone. In fact, they want it. They do very well in it. People sometimes think that being alone means being lonely, but Sigma doesn't feel that way. It's kind of like a man cave in your mind. The Sigma man's secret tool is being alone. It's like Bruce Wayne going into the cave to hide. It's not a sign of weakness or being alone. It's what gives him power. Their creative ideas and plans are fueled by quiet times alone, which lets them return to the world as now more resilient, wise, and prepared for whatever comes next. Number 5. Change like a chameleon and evolve without being seen. If so, have you ever seen a chameleon swim? At one point, it looks like lush growth, and at another, it looks like the rough bark of a tree. Men of Sigma are experts at adapting, much like these fascinating animals. They are flexible and adaptable, not rigid or stuck in their ways. Without losing their core identity, they can fit in with any group or setting seamlessly. However, unlike the chameleon, Sigma men develop for themselves rather than for others. They don't make a big deal out of their changes either. They change in a way that no one can see, including the rest of the world. That's why some people think they're vague or tough to read. It's kind of like a submarine quietly moving through the water. It can move through dangerous terrain, withstand intense pressure, and adapt to changing circumstances while remaining covered. It doesn't make a trumpet-like sound when it comes or goes. It just does its job, comes out when it needs to, and goes away without a trace when it's done. 6. Always say sorry when you need to. Excusing yourself isn't a sign of weakness. It shows respect. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen, said Winston Churchill. The alpha male is often too proud to admit when they're wrong. Their pride gets in the way, which leads to friction and conflict. Sigma men aren't afraid to admit when they're wrong. Neither their actions nor their words are influenced by their ego. They'll truly apologize and make amends if they've hurt someone. Their character is shown by this, and people respect them for it. Not being afraid to say sorry doesn't make them less of a man. Owning up to your mistakes takes courage and maturity. When it's the right thing to do, they apologize, which is a testament to their emotional understanding and maturity. 7th, you have to earn trust, not just give it. Sigma men don't trust hand like cheap party gifts. Trust is like a valuable, rare gem that is only given to a select few. Broken things can't be fixed. Like a cracked mirror, you can look at the image and still see the cracks. They therefore proceed with caution in this area, observing actions rather than words, reliability rather than promises, and character rather than charisma. Only those who show these qualities gain their trust because they value authenticity and openness. Being wise and careful is what this is about, not being doubtful or cynical. It's kind of like a bank account. You can't get your money out until you put it in. Even then, they are cautious and aware that things can change at any time. So Sigma men don't deposit their trust until they see someone worthy of it. Some people might think this is a cautious or even cold approach, but for Sigma, it's just a smart one. Number 8, don't talk too much and listen carefully. Much like a wise old owl sitting high in a tree, observing and listening to the world below while remaining silent, Sigma does not lack to say something. In fact, it has a lot to say. His words have the most power when he says them at the right time. He doesn't start a talk with a flood of words. Instead, he listens, takes it all in, and then responds carefully. Sigma is quietly observing and learning while others may be busy trying to impress or prove a point. They use their silence as a tool, allowing others to reveal their cards while they stay in control. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so listen more than you speak, as the old proverb goes. Being able to listen well takes work. Sigma men make people feel heard and understood. They don't try to solve everyone's problems or give help that isn't asked for. Just being there is enough to make people feel better. 9. Don't feel bad about being yourself. For Sigma males, being true to yourself is more than just a catchy Instagram bio. It's how they live their lives. He values authenticity above all else. Trends, fads, and group pressure don't affect him. The Sigma has his own unique beat, and he dances to it without stopping or saying sorry. It's like a jazz artist playing a soulful solo. He's not playing for the crowd, but for himself. Some people might not get it, but he doesn't play for compliment. He plays because he loves it, and it's real. His own man with his own morals and beliefs. He's not trying to fit in or live up to what other people think of him. He is proud of who he is and wears it with passion, like a knight does with his armor. Oscar Wilde said it so well. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Not only is trying to be someone else tiring, it doesn't help. You can be the best form of yourself, so why try to be a bad copy of someone else? 10. There are no right or wrong answers. You have to find your own. Imagine going into a room full of people who are all nodding their heads in agreement with something you strongly disagree with. Would you sing in the chorus just to fit in? Not a man of Sigma. He's the guy in the back with his arms crossed and a frown on his face. He's thinking about it all. But he's not buying it just because everyone else is. He doesn't say bad things just because, but he also doesn't believe what people say. He questions everything, not because he is proud, but because he is interested. He's on a quest to find his own answers, like a treasure hunt. This doesn't mean he doesn't value other people's thoughts or views, but he always takes the time to come up with his own. He values independent and critical thinking more than blind following the crowd. Like a detective who doesn't just follow the first clue he's given when trying to solve a case. He looks at all the data, makes sense of it all, and comes to his own conclusions. A Sigma man isn't afraid to push the status quo or ask hard questions. He wants to find the truth, even if it means going against what most people think or believe. Number 11. Stay away from needy and dramatic people. There is nothing worse than being stuck with someone who is just a buzzkill, who constantly complains about their problems. That kind of pessimism doesn't belong in life. The men in Sigma are not cold. They are just practical. They know that energy spreads, so they choose to be around people who make them feel good. They don't have time or patience for people who are too needy or dramatic. These men know how to set healthy limits and keep their energy safe in a world where people might see your kindness or generosity as a sign of weakness. They choose their close friends and family carefully, putting quality over number. This doesn't mean they're selfish or don't care about other people. In fact, they are very loyal and help people who earn their trust. They don't have time or energy to waste on drama and negativity, so bad people don't make the cut.